श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय। हरि ओम। सब कोई जय सीताराम। Let me extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you this morning. As you've journeyed to the Mandir, your footsteps having led you here, as we come in the presence of the Divine. Whatever be our circumstance this morning, whether it be a feeling of euphoria, a feeling of celebration, whether it be that we are confronted with some difficulty or some anxiety, whatever be our circumstance, we offer that to the feet of the Divine Mother. As you're well aware, we're in the midst of the Navratri period. Every evening we have been engaged in satsang and in puja, and this evening we will continue again in that vein. This morning, however, as we join together in satsang, we do so with that sense of love, with that sense of devotion. I invite us all to now stand. And as we gaze at that form of Bhagwan that we find most endearing to us, whether it is the form of Krishna Bhagwan, whether it is the form of Shankar Bhagwan, whether it is the form of the Divine Mother, let us retain that image in our heart and in our mind. And as we close our eyes, the windows to this physical world, we assume that position of reverence. We go within as we engage in invocation mantras. Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah. Om Shri Saraswati Namah. Om Shri Guru Charana Kamale Myo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakay Surya Koti Samaprabha. Nirvignam Guru Me Deva. Sarvakareshu Sarvara. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini. Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri. Swaha Swadha Namostute. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanudamardanam. Devaki Paramanandam. Krishna Mandir Jagadguru. Nagindraharaya Trilochanaya. Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya. Nityaya Shuddhaya Digambharagaya. Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandram Vedase. Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. Om Manojavam Marutatulia Vegyam Jitindriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Bhatatmajam Vanadiyutamukam Shri Ramadutam Shirishi Namami. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. May dear, please resume your seats. As we engage in opening kirtan, the Ganesh Bhagwan, let us all join together, let us clap, let us sing, let us glorify the name of the Lord.
Jai Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganapati, Jai 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 Ganapati, Jai Ganapati, Jai Ganesh, Jai Ganapati, Jai Jai
से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय. This morning, before we get into the recitation of shlokas 50 to 60 in Bhagavad Gita, and for those of you who are on the benches, you will see copies of the Bhagavad Gita on the edges of the benches. You can take copies and have them ready. I will ask the group if they can render one more bhajan, and then we will have our volunteer, our first volunteer. As you know, last week Pandit Devendra had asked for volunteers to do the reading from now on, and this morning we have a young man who will be volunteering. So we will invite one more bhajan before we begin, and you can turn in the meantime to chapter 2, shloka 50, and we will engage in those readings shortly.
Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama. 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 Madhava Rama, Jai Jai Keshava 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 Rama. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala 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 Rama. Sulabha Rama, Jai Jai Dulabha 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 Rama. Ek tu Rama, Jai Jai anek tu 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 Rama. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala 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 Rama. Madhava Rama, Jai Jai Keshava 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 Rama. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala Rama. Sulabha Rama, Jai Jai Dulabha 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 Rama. Ek tu Rama, Jai Jai anek tu 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 Rama. Govinda Rama, Jai Jai Gopala 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 Rama.
प्रेम से बोले वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. So as we've been led by Pandit Devendra since the commencement of the year, firstly the verses of the Gita Dhyanam were recited, and we've begun the recitation of the English of Bhagavad Gita with the intent that before the end of the year, definitely by the observance of Gita Jayanti in December, we would have completed the reading of Bhagavad Gita, at least in the English version, so that persons can become familiar. And so, as was announced last week, where Pandit Ji was leading us previously, he did ask for volunteers to go every Sunday reading at least 10 of the shlokas in English. This morning we have had a very brave young man coming forward, a little bit of suggestion, but he willingly accepted. And I would now hand over the mic to Kurt, who will lead us through, and we are joining together, so he's not reading alone. We are all reading together with him. Before we begin, I invite you to take your Bhagavad Gita, or for that partner, touch to your forehead 3 times before we begin. Om Shri Krishnaye Govindaye Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulang Teke Girim Yat Kripatam Mahammande Paramanandamamaravam. So I hand over to Kurt and we join together with him.
Sitaram, everyone. Endowed with equanimity, one sheds in this life both good and evil. Therefore, strive for the practice of this yoga of equanimity. Skill in action lies in the practice of this yoga. For wise men possessing an equipoised mind, renouncing the fruit of actions and freed from the shackles of birth, attain the blissful supreme state. When your mind will have fully crossed the mire of delusion, you will then grow indifferent to the enjoyments of this world and the next that have been heard of, as well as to those that are yet to be heard of. When your intellect, confused by the hearing conflicting statements, will rest steady and undistracted in meditation on God, you will then attain yoga, everlasting union with God. Arjuna said, Krishna, what is the definition mark of a God-realized soul? Stable of mind and established in samadhi. Perfect tranquility of the mind. How does the man of stable mind speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Sri Bhagavan said, Arjuna, when one thoroughly casts off all cravings of the mind and is satisfied in the self through the joy of the self, he is then called stable of mind. The sage, whose mind remains unperturbed amid sorrows, whose thirst for pleasures has altogether disappeared, and who is free from passion, fear, and anger, is called stable of mind. He who is unattached to everything, and meeting with good and evil, neither rejoices nor recoils, his mind is stable. When, like a tortoise that draws in its limbs from all directions, he withdraws all his senses from the sense objects, his mind becomes steady. Sense objects turn away from him who does not enjoy them with his senses, but the taste for them persists. This relish also disappears in the case of the man of stable mind when he realizes the Supreme. Turbulent by nature, the senses even of a wise man who is practicing self-control forcibly carry away his mind, Arjuna.
Prem se bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. So thank you very much, Kurt. And we would want to have a volunteer next week for reading of verses. We recap 60 and then move from 60 to verse 70. So anyone who is interested in leading us in the reading next week, we will surely welcome that volunteer and any volunteers. And if you do, then slight coaxing will be done, as was done with Kurt. And we will have you volunteer for us. Prem se bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. I'd now like to invite the teachers of the children's class to take the children across to the Bal Vihar class. So all of the young ones, we invite you to move across very quietly to the children's class. Again, we want to extend a very gentle reminder to all of the young ones. I know there are some who are in the midst of preparation for various types of end-of-term exams and so on. Notwithstanding that, we do encourage you to make the time at least once a week, every Sunday, to bring your children, grandchildren out so that they can benefit from this class. I think this is the last class for this term, and we'll resume at the beginning of the school term in April, yes? Okay, so they normally follow the same scheduling of the school timetable. So this will be the last class, so for the next 2 weeks or so, there will be no Bal Vihar classes, right? Couple announcements before we begin. Firstly, on the 19th of March, and I know this is some time ago, if you were at Mandir, it would have been a Sunday, and if you misplaced an item of jewelry, in particular a ring, So if you know, and it's a ladies' ring I'm speaking about, if you on the 19th of March were here at the Mandir and misplaced an item of jewelry, namely a ring, it has been found by a devotee and we have it in our possession, and you can claim that ring after. We want to congratulate the devotee for finding it and for returning it. And any person who may be here or may be looking on and you know of someone who, oh, I lost a ring, then you know it's safely at the Mandir and you can claim it at your convenience. This morning, our pravachan will be a very brief one, and we will also be engaging in meditation, but this morning our meditation will be during this period of Navaratri. We will be focusing our meditation on the Divine Mother. So I invite you to join your palms together as we engage in pratna before our pravachan. Hari Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Datri Swaha Swara Namostute Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Om Dum Durgai Namo Namaha Prem se bole Jagadamba Devi Maiya ki jai. As you would no doubt be well aware, we are in the period of what is referred to as the Chait Navaratri. There are two major Navaratris that occur throughout the year during this time and then later on in the year. During the first period, Navaratri meaning 9 nights, but we are also well aware that it is not on every occasion that the period lasts for 9 nights. Sometimes it is a little shorter, sometimes it is a little longer, and that has to do with the fact that those timelines are based upon a lunar calculation and not a solar calculation. So the days or the time periods are not exactly 24 hours long. There are, in addition to that, 2 other periods of Navaratri, known as the Gupta Navaratri, that takes place throughout the year as well. Now, on those occasions, so for example, in the Chait Navaratri, the culmination of it would be marked by the observance of Ram Navami. And that would take place this year, next Thursday, the 30th. So we've started from the 22nd, and we've been performing puja each day. In particular, each night we have satsang, and puja is performed by various devotees, and indeed all present, to the form of Bhagwan, represented by the Divine Mother. Just yesterday, when puja was being performed by some young ones, and they were performing Saraswati Mata puja on that occasion, I asked the question of them, why do you think our rishis and munis have prescribed various forms of God for us to offer puja to? And you know, that's an affliction that very often as Hindus we are confronted with. You Hindus have many gods, we are told. And the immediate response to that by any Hindu, any Sanatanist Hindu would be, no, that's not correct. We have but one God. Ekam Sat, the truth is one. Bipra Bhadu Badanti, the wise persons know that truth by many different names. And so the example was drawn to the young ones. For example, my Didi here, who is visiting with us from Florida, Mrs. Ramdat Singh, she would be someone's daughter. She would be someone's sister. She would be someone's aunt. It's the same person, but different persons, because of their relationship with her, would know her and would call her by different names, and they would observe her differently as well. And that is the same for each and every one of us. In our professions, for example, or in our places of work, your co-worker wouldn't come up to you and say, hi mom, hi dad, how are you doing? They won't say that because they know you in a different way. Right? And in the same way, because of our needs as individuals, our rishis and munis have prescribed these different icons. They're not idols, they're not images, but icons. They represent something that is representative of our deep philosophy as contained in our scriptures. And so during this occasion of the Navaratri, The worship of the divine is done through the medium of the Divine Mother. There are different ways, again, that could be done. And again, sometimes people find that very confusing. On each day, there's a different form of the Divine Mother. So that's one aspect. Other persons, for example, would worship Durga Mata exclusively. Yet others, and we follow that tradition, on the first 3 nights, you worship the Divine Mother in the form of Durga Mata. For the next 3 nights after that, in the form of Lakshmi Mata. And then for the final 3 nights, in the form of Saraswati Mata. And again, there's a rationale for that. But let's first ask the question, why the Divine Mother? Why is it prescribed for us to worship God, or suggested rather, that we should worship God in the form of the Divine Mother? We have a choice, firstly. We can decide, I don't want to do that. My inclination, or some people would say my Ishta Devata, is Krishna Bhagwan. So when I close my eyes, that's the form that I would see and that I would prefer to offer my puja to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yet others would say my Ishta Devata is Shankar Bhagwan, and I prefer to perform his puja. I want to fast for Pradosh. I want to observe Mahashivratri. Absolutely nothing wrong with that either. Because remember at the onset I said, the truth is one. The pathways are different. But why the suggested form of the Divine Mother? Each and every one of us here today, physically, and every single person looking on, without exception, had or have a mother. Not so? We all do. That is one thing we cannot escape. We are fortunate to have an earthly mother. Some of us might say, well, you know, that always brings a sense of sadness because, like me, my mother is no longer here. And therefore, we will feel a little aggrieved at that time when we think about our mother. But we should not think that way, because we were blessed to have a mother. We were blessed to enjoy a relationship with our mother. And that is the important thing. How can we, as mere human beings, caught up in this earthly existence, conceive a relationship with God unless we can draw a parallel with some other relationship? It is like me telling you, you know what, the ice cream is the best tasting ice cream I've ever had. And I'm telling you about this ice cream, but you have never had ice cream. More so, you've never had that flavor. So I'm describing it with all of the glowing terms and adjectives and so on about how cool it is and how refreshing it is and the wonderful taste of the coconut, because I like coconut ice cream, and that kind of thing. But you cannot draw a reference because you yourself have never had it. So yes, there's some meaning, but that embraced, holistic, meaningful relation is absent. Now think about it in our relationship with God. If we were to listen to scriptures and we were to listen to yagyas and discourses and pravachan, but we've never had that experience ourselves, there will be meaning. But we will not be able to grasp that meaning in a fundamental way. Now we've been given the relationship of a mother. And all of us, without exception, can relate. Whenever, as a young person, as a child, as a toddler growing up, you were ever in need, you fell down, you bruised your knee, you cut yourself, you wanted something, the first thing coming out your mouth is not dad. It's ma or mom. And as a father, I mean, I accept that. Because children have that relationship. We come secondary. After mom says no, then they come plead their case with dad. Right? But the point is, a child's first affinity is to their mother. Without a doubt. They have had that relationship with a child as an embryo, as a fetus, as a child growing in the womb. They've had the ability to deliver that child through birth and to nurture that child. That bond is not something that can be broken. And we know the value of that bond. We have other kathas that tell us about that. When we listen to the story of Prahalad and what he was able to learn and what he was able to become through his exposure in the womb, we understand that meaningful relationship of a child with a mother. And so some of us may lament that I do not enjoy a relationship with my mother. And that's an unfortunate thing for someone to say, that I don't enjoy a good relationship with my mother or whatever it is. That is something that we need to work on, but not cast aspersions on our mother. because a relationship is reciprocal. And we must ask ourselves, if the relationship is not going as well as we would like it to do, is there anything that I can do to make that relationship more meaningful? We shouldn't point fingers at the other side and say, well, they're not doing that, and they're not like this, and they're not like the other. Introspect first. What is it that I am not doing to improve that relationship with my mother, or indeed with anyone else for that matter? And that is important for us. And once we are able, therefore, in the context of Navratri, to think about a relationship with our earthly mother, that love that she has for us. And I want you to look at the murti of Durga Mata. You may see it up on the screen shortly. When you look at that murti of the Divine Mother, what you will notice, watch her face. You know, locally we will say sometimes the face swell up. She's not swollen. She's not upset. She doesn't have that countenance. She's smiling. She's smiling very beautifully, very lovingly, with compassion. And note the adjectives I'm saying. Beautiful, loving, compassionate. Those are the types of traits we want to have embedded and developed in ourselves, regardless of who we are. But I also want you to look at her hands. Her hands contain some very fierce-looking weapons. There's a sword, there's a trishul, all of those things. So we look at that dichotomy and we wonder, well, how could Ma be smiling with us but yes, have these things there? And why? It's for our own requirements. Think of how you would nurture a child. You know, the buzzword now is positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement. And I believe in that to a point, but you also need to reinforce discipline in children sometimes. I grew up with licks. No question about it. Not immediately, but if you did something wrong, you knew that was a possible consequence. And I'm not talking about abuse at all. There is a distinction. When you're disciplining a child, it should never be out of anger, ever. And if you know you're angry, take a step back. But discipline comes in different forms, right? And I'm not advocating licks now, but I'm saying we must never lose sight of our duty as parents to discipline our children. Regardless of how old they may become, we can still have some measure of discipline. And so that Divine Mother recognizes that for us to grow closer to her, for us to develop the good habits, for us to disabuse ourselves and our minds of the bad habits, then there is the compassion to be shown. There's the coaxing to be done. There's the encouragement to be done. Sometimes a little bit of incentive. Do this now and I'll buy you ice cream. That kind of thing. But there's also the time when if you don't do this, this is what will happen. You will not have the benefit of this. You will not have the privilege of this. You will not be allowed to do these things. And those are the consequences that follow. And I'm sure many young people who are here know of consequences. If I don't do my homework, I will lose my ability to be online. Yes, that's a major thing now. What? Disconnect from social media? That's a real problem. But those are the kinds of things that we as parents do and have to do to make sure that our children are on the proper line. Now think of the Divine Mother and by us by extension. Having enjoyed that relationship and having understood that relationship with our earthly mother. And make no mistake about it, mothers may be stern, but they will still come back, and as we will say, they will make sure that you are taken care of, regardless of what they may say. There's always that compassionate, that softness of heart. Fathers, on the other hand, we're not like that. If I said no, you could cry or say or beg, it is no. There's no moving from that. So mothers have a different makeup, a different framework. And that is important when we are raising children, the mother and the father together raising that child. There are circumstances that dictate one is absent, but there is the need to have that replacement in terms of a figure, whether it's an uncle, a guru, a pandit, or whoever it is, to also guide in that circumstance when those unfortunate things occur. But a child requires the nurturing of both. And so the Divine Mother gives us those instructions, the encouragement and the discipline about what is required. What do we benefit from? Well, when we listen to the katha that is contained in Durga Saptashati, which is normally the reference text or scripture during the period of Navaratri, we are exposed initially to the difficulties faced by two individuals, Surat and Samadhi, a king and a merchant. And they were faced with difficulties very much like you and I today, that their acquisitions, their relationships, their position in society was threatened fundamentally to the point of losing everything, being dispossessed and being thrown out of their homes even. That was the nature of their fundamental difficulty. And very much like us, if we were to ask ourselves, what are some of the things that we are fearful for, it would be condensed into one word. We are fearful about loss. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, the loss of some acquisition, the loss of our position in society, or whatever it is, we are fearful about loss. But really and truly, the only thing that we should be fearful about is losing sight of God. But because of the maya that envelops us, that is not uppermost in our mind until sometimes when it becomes too late. And at the very end, then we recognize all of these things, all of these trappings, all of these possessions, all of these relations that I held so high in esteem and that I thought to be indispensable is really not as important as my relationship with God. And that relationship does not come in the latter part of our years only. It does not come when we are lying without the ability to do anything else, so we are forced to think in that vein. That relationship of God is to be developed even before our birth. And that's why sanskars are performed before children are born. So it starts then. And then throughout the life of a child, to a young adult, to an adult, to senior years, our rituals have been prescribed. What we are supposed to do on a daily basis is prescribed. And as Sanatanist Hindus, we ought not to be, and I'm not casting any aspersion at all, because you are here, we are not to be every Sunday morning Hindus only. We are not to be once a year puja Hindus only. We are supposed to represent our dharma each and every moment of each and every day. And repeatedly, whether myself or Pandit Ravindra, we have been speaking to that, and other Pandits, I'm sure, about the practices that we all ought to engage in every day. Why? Because it allows us the opportunity to strengthen that relationship with God. So that when we are tried and when we are tested, when the difficulties confront us, as we all face difficulties in life, there's no person sitting here that can say without a doubt, I never had a problem in this life. Nobody can say that, because that is the nature of life. Some problems may be harder than others. Right now, those students preparing for SEA, thinking, way boy, that's the hardest exam in this world. Are real stressed. Whereas others are now thinking the same thing about CSEC. SEA was a joke, yes, the CSEC business are real hard. Right, Anish? Nice. And then you have others who are doing CAPE and saying, CSEC was a breeze. CAPE harder. So as we go through life, the problems and difficulties became a little harder and a little harder. And so when parents smile when children are saying that and say, son or daughter, you know, you didn't see problems yet. It's when you get out there, then you realize the problems. As I'm sure all adults are saying now, that we realize that. But then how do we cope with those things? What do we do when we are faced with a challenge? What do we do when we're faced with a difficulty? What do we do when we're faced with a problem? Think about it. What do I do? What do we do? And when we look around, there are many people that do all kinds of things that they think will alleviate their problems, but it really doesn't. In fact, it makes it worse. How many times have we heard the person say, well, I had the worries, so I had to drink. I take on the worries, so I had to drink. You think when that person is intoxicated and they become sober, the worries gone away? Chances are the worries got a whole lot worse because you spent out all your money buying the drink, and then you distorted your relationship with your loved ones because of it. Not so? So in the same way, persons try to find these fixes for their problems, not recognizing that the solutions come from our relationship with God. But we live in a time when we expect the solutions to come instantaneously. It's like dial 1-800-HOT and I get in dinner in 20 minutes, right? We expect that efficiency of delivery. And if the pizza man don't reach in 20 minutes, we vex. Long ago now, you have to plan before time what we're preparing for dinner. 2 hours before you start the meal prep, including the kneading of the flour and whatever else if you're doing that. And then you engage in the activity, so you realize that there was some effort to be put in to get the desired result. For the bag and choker to taste real good, you have to make sure you do it properly, right? It's the same thing with life. The solutions to our problems will not come instantaneously. They require effort, they require patience, they require persistence. But the solutions will come. Think of any problem that we have. What is the greatest problem we could have? I will lose my loved one. Accept that is inevitable. It is something that will happen. How do I deal with that? Well, I could be all consumed in it and I could just basically shut down. That's not helping yourself, nor is it helping anybody around you. You can grieve as we're all supposed to do. And that is what we're expected to do. Even in Ramcharitmanas, when Sri Ram left Ayodhya, Raja Dashrath grieved. All of the citizens of Ayodhya grieved. So grieving is a natural thing. But we should not become consumed with it, because what happened to the citizens of Ayodhya after the 14 years had gone? Prabhu Sri Ram came back. So the solution that they wanted, in fact, was realized. And the same thing with us. If you ask a student, what's your greatest fear? I'll fail an exam. All right. You fail the exam. What then? You can write again, or you can try another alternative. It never ends. We have opportunities if we would only recognize that. So how does the strengthening of us by God help us? It allows us to rid ourselves of the pathways that we should not choose. When we listen to the Durga Saptashati and we listen to all of the demons that were slain by the Divine Mother and how gory it is, think of our own lives and sometimes the difficult decisions and the sacrifices that we have to make in order to overcome those difficulties, without trying to find the instantaneous solutions that are invariably not the solutions at all. They're not the solutions at all. Think of anything. Think of a health ailment. You have a health ailment, and because it's so bad, the surgeon may say, well, we have to operate. That's fine. That provides a solution. But if you do not change some aspect of your lifestyle, whether it is exercising, how you eat, or whatever, or the medication that you're required to take, then that problem will not necessarily go away. It will recur because you have not dealt with the fundamental problem. And so the Divine Mother allows us to do that. So Surat and Samadhi, faced with these difficulties, went for the guidance of someone who was knowledgeable, Rishi Medhas. And that is something that we all need to be mindful about. When we are in problems, when we are in difficulty, when we are uncertain, seek out the advice of someone who knows more than we do. I'll repeat that. Someone who knows more than we do, someone who is more experienced than we are. Because if we seek out the advice of somebody just hoping to hear reinforce what we believe, that's not really advice. That's talking to a yes man. And so you sometimes need somebody to tell you the difficult things. Boy, you're doing real stupidness. This is what you need to do instead. Because I've been there. I've had that experience. Right? That's the kind of thing we need. So Surat and Samadhi sought out the instruction of Rishi Medhas. And what did he do? He directed them to the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother. And what she can do. And what are the experiences to be learned from engaging and immersing ourselves in her presence. How do we do that? By what you're doing. By coming, listening, by participating, by engaging, by reflecting, and most importantly, by putting that into effect and transforming. It makes no sense, or very little sense. If you were saying, well, I go in Mandir all the time, or go in Puja all the time, but the reason we're going Mandir, we're going Puja is not really to listen or to immerse ourselves, but it's for another reason. then that really doesn't do us any good service. But if we go, whether it is a puja, yagya, satsang, a mandir, wherever it is, now we have it available right in front of us in the televisions or on our phones. And we listen and we participate. We see, we engage all of our senses. And then, having digested that, we put it into practice. Then that is the roadmap for transformation. That is the roadmap for transformation. You know, we could talk from now till thy kingdom come, as they will say. But unless we as individuals actually start incrementally putting things into practice, we will not derive the result that we're seeking. But Sanatana Dharma gives us the opportunity to come back and try again. So that's the wonderful thing. So this morning, during this period of Navaratri, with those reminders, because we're all familiar with them, what I've said this morning is nothing new. There are things that we all know. There are things that sometimes we forget about, but that we know notwithstanding. One of the ways in which we can engage in the transformation in a meaningful way is something that has been suggested repeatedly, and again reinforced this year with Pandit Devendra, suggesting, he used it as the form of saying, let's do a challenge, a meditation challenge. Yes, that was the format that he had. And that meditation challenge, just by way of reminder, ends when? Aha, Dr. Ramprasad recalls. Thursday, Ram Navami. So, what I would encourage us to do is, okay, well, maybe we didn't make the challenge. That's no reason to not start if we didn't start before, or to continue if we missed something. We always have that opportunity, and we should seize the opportunity. So during this period of Navaratri, I want us now to focus on the Divine Mother. And I will ask the technical guys at the back if they can put up an image of Durga Mata on our screen. She looks a lot better than I do. You don't need to see me. There you go. Focus in on her face. I want you all, brothers and sisters, to sit upright. And I want you to gaze at the Divine Mother. Let your gaze go firstly to her feet, and then allow your gaze to move slowly upwards. Her legs, her arms. Let it rest on her face. And look at that smiling countenance of that mother. That love that is being exuded. That compassion that is being exuded. Now allow your gaze to drift slowly downwards once more. Her arms, her legs, her feet. And I want you to close your eyes now and retain that image of the mother. So beautiful she is. And as we close our eyes, closing the windows to this physical world, let us feel ourselves being transported far, far away from this physical realm into the presence of the Devi. Visualize yourself before the Divine Mother. She is resplendent, she is majestic, she is divine. Seated on the lion she is, very majestically. Visualize yourself lying prostrate before her, with your head touching her feet, and the tears from your eyes flowing freely, washing the feet of the Divine Mother, seeking her forgiveness for our transgressions and seeking her mercy. Wash the feet of the Divine Mother with your tears. Visualize in your hand now a beautiful flower. Most beautiful in every way. It is colorful, it is scented, it is majestic, and you offer that flower to the Divine Mother. Oh Ma, this is a symbol of my love for you. Please accept it. Adorn the Devi with a beautiful chandan on her head. And then visualize now in your hand you have a thali that is beautifully decorated with a diya burning resplendently. And you wave that light around the Devi again and again, praying to her. O Ma, as this diya dispels the darkness, in the same way let your love dispel all problems, all sankat in my life, all sickness and all sorrow. We pray to her. Feel now the outstretched hand of the Devi. That hand gently caressing your head. As a mother would caress her child, she gives us that love. Feel that divine energy flowing from her. That divine Shakti flowing through every pore, every atom of our body, removing all negativity and filling us with that divine energy. We feel light, we feel pure, we feel uplifted, we feel that divine bliss. With that feeling of euphoria now, feeling totally transformed, the Devi takes her leave. Slowly, ever so slowly, she moves away. But we are left with that knowledge that she remains firmly within us, within our heart, within our mind. Slowly now you open your eyes. Once more, allowing the gaze to go from the feet of the Divine Mother to rest on her face. Rub your palms together and rub over your face and entire body, retaining that divine energy. Rim Zuli Jagadamba Devi Maya Ki Jai. In this way, brothers and sisters, we allow ourselves the opportunity through these few moments of meditation to draw ourselves closer to the Divine Mother, to still our mind, to calm our mind, and to allow us that equipoise that will allow us that relationship not only with God, but most importantly, that wonderful relationship with each other. At this point, I invite us all to come forward and to perform our arti. Those of you who may have brought prasad, you can come to the Bedi and make your offerings. Those of you who want to come notwithstanding, you offer your love to the Divine Mother, you make your offering to Agni Devta, and then you perform your arati before all of the murtis. You are invited to do so now as the group engages in Kirtan.
We join in reciting the mantras of the Durga Chalisa. Jai Shri Durga Ambika Jagat Palini Maa Tumaro Chalisa Raju
अन्नपूर्णा हुई जगमाला, तुम हो आदि सुंदरी बाला। प्रलय काल सब नाशनहारी, तुम गौरी शिव शंकर प्यारी। शिव योगी तुम्हारे गुण गावे, ब्रह्मा विष्णु तुम्हें नित ध्यावे। जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया, जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। रूप सरस्वती का तुम धारा, देश बुद्धि ऋषि मुनि लौभारा। धरो रूप नरसिंह का अम्बा, प्रगट भये वादेवे खम्बा। रक्षा कर प्रहलाद बचायो, हिरण्याकश को सर्ग पठायो। लक्ष्मी रूप धारो जग माही, श्री नारायण अंग समाही। जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया, जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। क्षीर सिंधु में करत विलासा, दया सिंधु दीजे मन आसा। हिंगलाज में तुम ही भवानी, महिमा अमित न जात बखानी। मातंगी धूमावती माता, भुवनेश्वरी बगला सुखदाता। श्री भैरव तारा जगतारणी, छिन्न भाल भव दुख निवारणी। जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया, जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। हे हरि वाहन सोहे भवानी, लांगुर वीर चलत अगवाणी। घर में खापर घर गविराजे, जागो देख काल दरबाजे। सोहे आस और त्रिशूला, जाति उन्नत शत्रु ही अशूला। नवकोटि में तुम ही विराजत, तीनहु लोक निरंका बाजत। जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया, जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। शुंभ निशुंभ दानव तुम मारे, रक्त बीज संघन संहारे। महिषासुर नृप अति अभिमानी, जहि अगवाड़ मही अकुलाणी। रूप करा काली को धारा, सेन सहित तुम तेहि संहारा। परिवार संतन पर जब जब, भय साहे मातु तुम तब तब। जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया, जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। अभरपुरी अरवा सब लोका, तब महिमा सब कहे अशोका। ज्वाला में है ज्योति तुम्हारी, तुम ही सदा पूजत नर नारी। प्रेम भक्ति से जो जस गावे, दुख दारिद्र निकट नहीं आवे। व्यावे दास शरणान जानी करहु कृपा जगदम्ब भवानी जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया जय अम्बे जगदम्बे जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया जय अम्बे जगदम्बे जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया जय अम्बे जगदम्बे जय अम्बे जगदम्बे मैया जय अम्बे जगदम्बे। जन जग जननी भवानी ओ रामा भवानी अचल वरदानी जन जग जननी भवानी। जननी भवानी ओ रामा भवानी अचल वरदानी धन जग जननी भवानी। जगमग जगमग ज्योति विराजे ज्योति विराजे जगमग जगमग ज्योति विराजे ज्योति विराजे तेज प्रताप निवानी ओ रामा भवानी अचल वरदानी धन जग जननी भवानी। महिमा गम महिमा गम पर तुम्हारो कर तुम्हारो शेष सुरासन जानी ओ रामा सदानी ओ रामा अचल वरदानी जन जग जननी भवानी ओ रामा भवानी ओ रामा अचल वरदानी जन जग जननी भवानी। दुख हरनी जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। 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 तू सुन ले, तू सुन ले, तू सुन ले मेरी पुकार, मेरी पुकार माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। आगे भगवती माँ सुनी ही जब पूजन महिमा है। तू सावित्री, तू ही गौरी, तू ही विष्णु प्रिया है। हो ज्योति पाई तेरे रूप काई, तेरी लीला, तेरी लीला, तेरी लीला अपरंपार, अपरंपार माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। तेरी दया से मन में रंगी, बिगड़ी पावक भीगी। तुझसे चाही नारायण की, धरती कृपा उसी की। तेरा ध्यान धरो, गुणगान करो, मेरी पूजा, मेरी पूजा, मेरी पूजा कर स्वीकार, कर स्वीकार माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। तू सुन ले, तू सुन ले, तू सुन ले मेरी पुकार, मेरी पुकार माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता। जय जय लक्ष्मी माता, हे माता, हे माता।
We'll have one more bhajan before our final arti. Before our announcements and then final arti.
कान्हा कन्हैयानंद लाला ओ मुरली वाला ऐसे बजाए मुरली मुरलिया जादू भरी कान्हा कन्हैयानंद लाला ओ मुरली वाला ऐसे बजाए मुरली मुरलिया जादू भरी मुरलिया जादू भरी
We'll have our announcements now.
Sitaram, I'm forced to change location by Indira here. Devotees, again, it's very nice to see so many of you all here this morning. On behalf of the Krishna Mandir, we'd like to extend a very warm and cordial welcome to each and every one of you. And we look forward to seeing you this evening also at our Navaratri service. For those of us who took part in the Rock Your Socks activity last week for the Down syndrome awareness, we'd like to congratulate you all. We really enjoyed the support that you gave us, and to Dana and her team, we'd like to congratulate you for organizing a very successful Down syndrome awareness activity. And it's year-round, right? So please continue to support the Down syndrome community. As I always say, you know, when I meet you all, is that we welcome donations for the Mandir because based on your generosity, we help to pay our bills for to upkeep the Mandir and to run the Mandir. So we really appreciate all the devotees who contribute to us, and for those who looking at us online, you can see the link online and you can also donate to us through our account. So we welcome your donations. It's very important for our Mandir, and we thank you in advance. We want to remind you of some of the ongoing activities. As Panditji said, every evening we are here from 6 o'clock to 7:30. Wonderful worship. It's a very nice experience. I've been here with my family and we really enjoy it. So we encourage you to join us. And it will culminate on Thursday with Ram Navami celebrations, right? We want to start at 10 a.m. promptly. And we're going to provide lunch for you all, so you don't have to worry to hurry home. It's a holiday. So we want to invite you to come and spend the day with us. It's a wonderful day indeed. And it's celebrating Ram Navami. And I assure you that you will enjoy it very, very much. And next week, the following Wednesday, we'll have Hanuman Jayanti, the same 10 o'clock, and we will serve lunch and so on. So we really want you to join with us in celebrating these special occasions. All right, and anyone celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, or any special occasion, we want you to enjoy it, and we wish you all the best. And if you want to perform puja anytime from next week, you know, you can see Rama or any one of us, and we'll make arrangements for you to sit and perform puja with Pandit on a Sunday morning. All right, so once again, we thank you all for coming this morning. We want to wish you a safe day, and who can make it this evening, we'd like you to join us. And to Kurt and Roger, congrats, you all did a good job puja this morning and reading of the verses from the Gita. Thank you again, Sitaram.
Thank you very much, Vishnu, our PRO, for those wonderful announcements and reminders. And again, just one reminder, that item of jewelry that was found, I just want to remind you, if you lost a ring, it's a lady's ring, on the 19th of March, we have it in our possession, so you can see me after service. If you're viewing online, well then next week when you come. Or tonight if you come to Satsang, that's a reason to come as well. So let's all stand for Purnahuti, to be followed by Arti and closing prayer with a very beautiful stotra that will end our service this morning. Hari Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shivaratri Swaha Swadha Namostute Om Purnamarat Purnamidam Purnat Purnamodakshate Purnasya Purnamadhai Purnamivavashishyate Om Sarvame Purnahum Swaha Achman Om Sarvatirta Samayuktam Sugandim Nirmalam Jalam Achmaniam Myaratam Grihana Paramesharam Achmaniam Samarpe. You fan the flame in all directions now. ॐ वनस्पतिर्रसोद्भूतो गन्धायो गन्धोत्तमः अर्घ्या देवानां धूपोऽयं परिगृहीताम्. Wherever you are, direct your palms, seek the blessings of Agni Devata pass over your entire body. Om Sri Analai Namo Namaha. Aarti Bhajan.
जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी तुमको निशिदिन ध्यान हरि ब्रह्मा शिव जी तुमको निशिदिन ध्यावत हरि ब्रह्मा शिव जी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मांग सिंदूर विराजत तीखो मृग मद को मांग सिंदूर विराजत तीखो मृग मद को उज्ज्वल सिंदूर नैना उज्ज्वल सिंदूर नैना चंद्रवदनी को जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी कनक समान कलेवर रक्तांबर राजे कनक समान कलेवर रक्तांबर राजे रक्त पुष्प गलमाला रक्त पुष्प गलमाला कंकण पर साजे जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी हे हरि वाहन राजत खरगोपरधारी हे हरि वाहन राजत करग कपरधारी सुर नर मुनि जन सेवन सुर नर मुनि जन सेवन तिनके दुख हारी जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी शुंभ निशुंभ विराजे महिषासुर घाती शुंभ निशुंभ विराजे महिषासुर घाती धूम्र विलोचन नैना धूम्र विलोचन नैना निशिदिन मदमाती जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी 64 योगिनी गावत नृत्य करत भैरो 64 योगिनी गावत नृत्य करत भैरो पाजत ताल मृदंगा और पाजत डमरू जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी उजाचार अति शोभित खड्ग कमरधारी उजाचार अति शोभित खड्ग कपरधारी मनवांचित फल पावत मनवांचित फल पावत जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी ओ मैया जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे गौरी यहाँ अम्बे जी की आरती जो कोई नर गावे यहाँ अम्बे जी की आरती जो कोई नर गावे कहत शिवानंद स्वामी कहत शिवानंद स्वामी सुख संपत्ति पावे जय अम्बे गौरी मैया जय अम्बे
As we come to close of our puja this morning and our satsang, we give thanks to you, O Ma, for all of the blessings that you have granted us, all of the blessings that you will continue to bestow upon us. And we come before you with all humility and with all love. You are that most omniscient, most merciful being. We pray this morning not only for ourselves, but we pray for those persons who may be sick, those persons who may be ailing. We pray for those persons who may have lost a loved one. We ask you, Ma, to relieve their suffering and indeed to give them that strength and that solace that only a mother can give. For those persons who are engaged on a deviant pathway, who are committing crimes and other acts of indiscretion, we ask you, Ma, to use that inspiration and that divine Shakti to guide them once more closer to you. For you are mother and father, you are family, you are friend, you are knowledge, you are wealth, you are everything to us. As this final stotra is being chanted, let us all pray to the Divine Mother for the blessings that we wish to have. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु मातृरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। या देवी सर्वभूतेषु शक्तिरूपेण संस्थिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देवा। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम। प्रेम से बोले श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय। आज शक्ति जगदम्बा देवी मैया की जय। प्रेम से बोले श्री सच्चे सनातन धर्म की जय। Gentle persons around you, सब कोई जय सीताराम जय सीताराम जय सीताराम। I wish you all a very wonderful day ahead. May the blessings of the Divine Mother be with you. May you have a very productive week ahead as well. For all our students who are writing the SEA exams on the 29th, that's this coming Thursday, we want to wish you the blessings of Saraswati Mata. May success be yours. We look forward to seeing you all with us this evening as we continue with puja from 6 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. and again for the ensuing nights. Durga Ashtami will be celebrated on the 29th, and as was mentioned on Thursday, we will be celebrating Ram Navami from 10 in the morning. Sitaram everyone, sab koi.